Thanks for joining us for the PHNX Suns postgame show, brought to you by the DraftKings Sportsbook app, America's #1 sportsbook app. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button wherever you get your podcasts and leave us a 5-star review. I'm Lindsey Smith here with Saul, Bookman, Gerald, Bourguet, and Espo. And guys, the Suns did it. They took down the Minnesota Timberwolves tonight in great fashion, 129-117. This was a fun game, but I want to know, what are your points of the game? Let's get into the 3 points here.
Awesome.
And that's where the music cue
cool
goes.
music.
But we'll get it
let's do
next
this all
time.
over again. Rewind.
What are we going to get into, Lindsey?
The 3 points.
There we go.
All right, so my point tonight is 60%. That's what Mikal Bridges shot from the field. We said he needed to step up. We hammered that point home yesterday and today, and he did just that. He was huge for this team tonight.
My point is 18-1. That's the assist-to-turnover ratio. If you look at Devin Booker and Payne, the 2 lead guards in the backcourt, they needed to take care of the ball, and the Suns needed to spread the love a little bit better than they did in Philly. They definitely did that tonight.
Yeah, my main point is the number 3. 3 times, especially in the first half, when the Timberwolves were making runs, the Suns missed a 3-point shot, only to get their own offensive rebound and hit a 3 right after that. I thought that really kept the momentum going and really spurred the Suns to the second half.
3 really solid points tonight, and we'll get into all of them. But let's first start with the point that Espo made. Mikal Bridges, he was on fire tonight. He could not be great in this one. The Suns dominated in the first quarter, and Mikal was a large part of that. He had 13 first quarter points on 5 of 5 shooting, and throughout the entire night, he was on another level. This was the Mikal Bridges game.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen flashes of it before, but this was the game where he put it all together. He decided to shoot from deep, although he wasn't great percentage-wise out there. He only shot 2 of 6 from 3, but he took 6 of them, and we were hammering that home. He was aggressive, and he was on triple-double watch in that first half. Finished with 31-9, 5, and 4 steals with a block as well. He did everything tonight, and this is the Mikal Bridges that could be a true star in this league when he does this. I don't need 31 every night, but I need a little of everything, and we saw it.
The aggression from the start was noticeable. It was huge in helping to set the tone, as Payne said in his post-game interview. And I think his 20 field goal attempts tonight was a career high. So this, for me, was arguably the best game of his career in terms of doing a little bit of everything on top of the high scoring numbers that he put up. He was playing passing lanes. He was all over the place defensively, like we're used to seeing from him, but offensively he was slashing, he was cutting, he was driving, and he got to the foul line 5 times, which was big too.
Didn't you mention, somebody had said, it may have been Monty, that they needed him to kind of play a Draymond Green role with them? This is Draymond Green on steroids. Not actual steroids, let's make that clear. But this is, you can get that whole package, and he can go off for 31 in a night. I'm bullish on Mikal Bridges. I'm glad he stepped up this season.
Yeah, that's the first time I've ever heard a Draymond Green reference with Mikal Bridges, just because I feel like their demeanor is so wildly different than each other. But in terms of like the total package, I would agree. Like, listen, Mikal came out tonight, and really, you know what you're going to get defensively, but offensively, listen, the Suns struggled in Philadelphia. They didn't really have any momentum. Nobody was really playing with their hair on fire, and Mikal did not leave that up to doubt. He came out and he played hard right off the bat. 13 points in the first quarter. Again, you need a catalyst, and sometimes when everybody's kind of going through the motions, it can kind of sink you into going through the motions, and that's not a great place to be, and that's where they were at in Philly. Tonight, somebody stepped up, and that energy really was infectious throughout the first line, the first five, and also the bench coming onto the court. So Mikal did his part in stepping up big time. It's what we wanted to see, and we saw it tonight.
Right, and this is kind of not to this extent, obviously, but last year we saw him kind of flirt with this territory of being a Suns' third option, or being a guy that when Chris and Book are hampered, that you can turn to him and he can make defenses pay by creating a little bit with the ball in his hands. And this year, this would be the perfect time for him to start putting it all together as that guy who can do it consistently. That's the key. We've seen these flashes before. We want to see it happen consistently. Not 31 points, obviously, but a guy that can really make you pay.
Shit.
No, but
I won't
take 31.
31
Look,
points.
these games can't be like a Sasquatch that you see them every once in a while, and you're like, oh, they exist, we promise. They have to be more regular. Not to the 30-point extent, but dropping 20, having 9 boards, doing these the little things all on both ends. Devin Booker needs that as a running mate.
And even though Mikal does so much defensively, I know we saw when we were talking about Mikal and DA the other day on the show, there was a comment, somebody was like, but he does so much defensively, we can give him a pass offensively. But when he comes out and shows you that he is more than capable of doing both, then for one, we shouldn't be giving him a pass anyway. But two, if he can do it, and now we know for sure, we've seen it before. This isn't the first time Mikal's done this, but we know Mikal can do it. So there is no pass. This is Mikal. This is who Mikal can be.
Listen, not for this team. Not for this team. You don't have 3, 4, 5 outstanding shooters across the lineup. Not on this team. He gets no pass on offense. He needs to produce 15 to 20 a night for this team to get a championship. And that's the same thing for DA, and we'll get to DA down the road, but his level of play on the offensive side is not determined by the defensive side. He's got to be elite on both ends. And so that's the expectation. He's in year 5. It's okay to place that expectation on Mikal Bridges when you have the same expectation for other players around the league who do it on both ends of the court. Like people have been saying about Devin Booker, about not playing defense, he improved that end of the court, and he plays on both ends. Mikal needs to do the same.
Agreed.
If he plays like this, he looks like a second option, especially with where Chris Paul is at in his career.
1,000,000%.
I think we're on the verge of seeing Mikal Bridges make an all-star bid.
If he plays like this, absolutely.
I mean, but I don't even need the 31-point games, 30-point games every once in a while. Those are nice. But what we've seen this year, and then you mix in these kind of games, I think he's going to get attention for that, for an all-star nod.
Okay, a couple of questions that I kind of want to bring up that are being tossed around in the chat. One is how consistent of a game like this can Mikal have, in your opinion? And two, do you think that he plays a little more cautiously because he doesn't want to lose that Iron Man streak, or he doesn't want to get injured? Not necessarily the streak specifically, just maybe a little more caution as far as injuries go and not wanting to be in that situation.
No, I don't think the Iron Man streak or the games played matters at all to Mikal Bridges. He plays hard all the time. And if there's a loose ball, if there's a player on the court that you would ever doubt that wouldn't dive, it definitely would not be Mikal Bridges. He's going to jump on the ground. He's going to try and do everything he can to get you a win. He's jumping into the first, second row of the crowd to try and save a ball. I don't know where that would even come into anybody's mind. There's just no way he would be cautious about it because he's trying to save some silly ass streak. Nobody cares about that. We care about championship, and that's what he cares about. So when it comes to his play on the court, he just plays and he has fun. And if his energy is high, the team's energy is high. He's probably the most infectious dude on the team.
Yeah.
Because as he goes in terms of his emotions and his energy, so go the Suns.
Well, think about it. Every time you see something fun happening with this team, who's in the center of it?
Mikal.
It's Mikal.
Mikal.
It's Mikal and Cam Johnson. It's Mikal and Payne. It's Mikal and DA. But Mikal is always the constant. He's always got that goofy, fun energy. He brings the vibes up for this squad. So you're absolutely correct.
I think that Mikal is going to benefit immensely from Cam Johnson not being there, because there's going to be more opportunity. They're going to need him to be that offensive guy where when Cam's there, and CP3 also, but more Cam, you don't need him as much offensively. You can just say, go just focus on the defensive end, and you'll get your spots when they happen. This is him having to force the issue now, and I like that. I like that he's going to have to do that for the next month or two until you get some kind of resolution on Cam coming back.
Yeah, and to your point, I'm curious to go back and watch some of his offensive possessions from tonight, because with Chris Paul out there, with Cam Johnson out there, the onus on Mikal Bridges was more as an offensive initiator, a playmaker, a guy in the short role, in that kind of Draymond Green role where he's playmaking a little bit more than he's used to. And now tonight we saw him as more of a scorer, more of an off-ball cutter, three-point shooter. Those are the things where he's really good at. And I get the long-term goal of letting other guys create and building that up, but at the same time, this is Bridges optimized the way that he was playing tonight. So I am curious, when Chris Paul comes back, does that shift a little bit, or do they continue to use him to kind of fill a little bit of that Cam Johnson offense?
Listen, I went through the numbers, and in regards to Chris Paul, and I'm going to have something that's coming out here at towards the end of the week about it, but Chris Paul's numbers this year should not dictate Mikal Bridges' effort and production on the offensive side. It's time that everybody in that starting lineup stop deferring to Chris Paul. When he has his options and he has his moments, Chris Paul is smart enough to know when to get his and when it's there for him. He's been in the league for far too long. Other players can stop deferring to Chris Paul. I believe that now. They need to just keep going, and Mikal Bridges, for damn sure, should not be deferring to anybody except for maybe Booker.
What do you think is Mikal's ability to do something like this against legitimate teams?
Wow.
Was that
Shots
mean?
fired, Minnesota.
Was that too mean?
I mean,
Against better teams?
they look like a very
Sorry.
unserious team right now. Like,
I wasn't trying to throw shade.
They're definitely struggling to work in that Twin Towers thing. But
remember when everybody wanted D'Angelo Russell?
Yeah,
yeah, that's
I do.
tough. But no, I think that's a fair question, and that's why I'm saying, like, I think tonight was great. We can't expect 31 points on a night in, night out basis, but like with Cam Johnson out, we need Mikal to be around the 20 points per game margin. Like we just do. And same thing with DA. And if you look at their numbers, they actually averaged 20 between the two of them tonight. So it worked out. We need more of that moving forward. It's not going to be 31 every night.
One of these things is not like the other one.
It's okay. It's like Wilt and that other guy on the bench that averaged 50 points in that one game.
Other guy.
Yeah. They combined for 100. But no, like Mikal, he needs to find that consistency, because once he does, that's when we're going to look at him as a bona fide all-star for his two-way play. That's when he makes that leap. I feel like he's really close. I feel like he got there during that one stretch near the end of the season last year. This is the year where let's see the consistency now.
Who was out during that stretch last year?
I think Chris missed some of it, but
I think Cam missed a lot of that too. That was during his bruise. So when he needs to step up, when it's required, he seems to find that extra gear.
So we have a super chat from Psycho Blue. Psycho Blue, thank you for your super chat. I'm not going to be able to say his name again. Basketball Cthulhu said he sent B-Ball Fenner a video clip of the song Teamwork from Reading Rainbow as Fenner whimpers in shame into his KG jersey. Do you know what that is? Fenrir?
Fenrir.
Fenrir?
Yeah,
I don't know what it is. Psycho Blue, I don't know what it is.
Start researching, Lindsey. Jeez.
No, just start putting it in your super chat.
It's the name of it's the name of a werewolf in Harry Potter, but I think that's based on something more ancient.
We also have another super chat from
Gerald.
HM, and HM said, Mikal, keep shooting, bruh. Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Mikal needs to keep shooting that
We
ball.
apologize, Psycho Blue. We can't find
there
your
we go.
super chat.
It's at the very top. So here's the thing. If you put a super chat in the chat before we officially go live, it will be on the chat in YouTube, but it won't show up on our actual
gotcha.
system here, which is why we can't put it on the screen for you.
He
So
did clarify.
that's what happened in tonight's, or he sent it. They sent it right before, right as we were going live, but sometimes those comments get a little wonky. It's
He
just
also
how
said
it is.
it is the Norse wolf god.
Okay.
Thus, the Timberwolves were correct.
I see. Okay.
There we go.
All right. Thank you guys for your super chat. We appreciate it. Mikal Bridges, regardless of what we get from him in the future, we're talking about tonight's game. And tonight's game was phenomenal from Mikal. And for that, he is going to be named our draft king of the game. As we mentioned, he finished with 31 points. He had 9 rebounds, 5 assists, 4 steals. He was 12 of 20 from the field, and he added in a single block. So congratulations to Mikal Bridges for being named our king of the game. Obviously, nobody's surprised there, right?
Gerald wanted us to add 5 more stats in there, but we had to.
I just wanted
we had to limit it at 4.
He shot 60%.
Can we get that true shooting percentage?
Man.
He wanted a bunch of. We need a second slide with all the advanced stats. That
We
we can
definitely need a second slide.
Don't tempt me with a good time.
We have another super chat from Code. Code, thank you for your super chat. Said, am I the only one bothered by Mikal playing without his mustard KDs? No, I too miss the yellow shoes. Like, I loved them. I thought they were exactly who Mikal Bridges is.
Yeah, but he wasn't playing very good in them, so ditch him.
I mean, I missed him, but if he's going to play like that without him, ditch him.
If that's
Bye.
the trade-off, then yeah, I'll give him.
I don't need my all everything guy wearing Heinz mustard bottles on his feet. Yeah, like those things are ugly as all hell.
Oh,
Espo,
man.
you hate anything that's not purple and orange.
Right.
No.
So
I just
Also, are we
bright
really going
yellow
to take?
shoes?
Are we going to take fashion advice from Espo?
I don't mind about the fashion advice, but the colors, I feel like if it's not purple and orange, you're not down for it.
Trash.
Yeah.
I liked the yellow shoes.
Trash.
Well, I call them lemon pepper steppers.
Ethan hit us with a super chat as well. Thank you, Ethan. Said, remember when we thought we'd get rid of Mikal for KD? LOL. You know, I saw a lot of people on social saying if Mikal can play like this consistently, do we need KD at this point?
I don't
If
even
Mikal
want-
can play like this
I
consistently.
don't even want to talk about
Well-
KD right now.
Well, no, we don't. But Mikal's also not going to average 31 points a game moving forward. Otherwise, he'd be better than KD because KD's not even
That's
averaging
true.
31 right now.
Let me say this. Tonight made me want to keep Mikal, but I started going. I guess I kind of understand that DA cat talk from back in the day.
Oh,
Oh
man.
boy. Oh man.
Yikes.
One more super chat real quick from HM. Thank you for yours. Said, I'd watch Mikal shoot that rock in shacks. So they do not care. As
Yeah.
long as Mikal is shooting the ball, that's all that matters. One more time, congratulations, Mikal, for being our DraftKings King of the Game. Right now, new customers who download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and sign up using that promo code PHNX can make any $5 NBA moneyline bet and get $200 in free bets if your team wins. It's a great time to get on the DraftKings Sportsbook app. You can also boost your winnings up to 100% with DraftKings stepped-up same-game parlays. So it's super simple. Just download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, use that promo code PHNX, and you could get $200 in free bets pretty quickly. So just a reminder, minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. I think my bet on the DraftKings Sportsbook app today hit because I took the over for Payne, who we'll talk about a little bit later. Did you guys do okay?
Mine
Did your
on the-
girlfriend or your fiance
I
text you?
got no text. so,
Wow. That was a miss.
Probably because it was all downhill from the Timberwolves.
That's
from,
true.
opening
That
tip.
is true.
Yeah, I was under. I said 223 points. They would have less than combined, and yeah, it missed wildly bad.
The graphic was right. But it said I was taking the over on Suns points tonight, but I had said the under, so I was wrong.
You should have gone with
He's
the
got
graphic.
the receipts.
You should have gone
It's
with the
forged,
graphic.
but he's got the
Yeah.
receipts.
Also, a quick reminder, we are teaming up with our friends over at Fora Peaks to host all U.S. and Mexico World Cup matches at their 8th Street pub. So plan to come hang out with us and watch some soccer. You can also enjoy beer specials, giveaways, guest appearances, and so much more. You can check the link in the show notes to register for absolutely free. Also, if you haven't picked up Four Peaks beer ever or recently, highly recommend. It's mighty tasty, but you do have to be 21 years or older, and we ask that you enjoy responsibly. All right, gentlemen, let's continue talking about the 3 points of the game. Saul, yours was 3 offensive rebounds, all of which came from 3-point attempts by the Suns, but led to a 3-point make.
Yeah, again, the momentum was, in the beginning of the game, it just seemed like, the Suns were on a nice roll. You want to keep feeding that roll. And then it seemed like every time the Wolves were about to make a run of their own and get back into the game, the Suns would be on offense. They'd miss a 3. And then the Timberwolves would just not box out, or they'd be sloppy, and the Suns would get it back and hit a 3. One time, it was Payne getting his own rebound and shooting a way more difficult shot in the corner, fading away and hitting it. And I was just like, okay, well, it's going to be one of those.
Hard.
It's going to be one of those nights. Okay, so
everything you want is on the other side of hard.
But those things led to obviously the momentum that they had and the confidence for the whole team to start shooting threes. And they shot at a pretty high clip tonight. We talked about them only taking 18 or 19 threes the other night against the Sixers. That needed to improve. It did. And because of that, I felt like they were hitting threes at crucial times of the game, even when it's a 15-point lead. Sometimes you need to hit that 3 because maybe the Wolves were on a 7-0 run, and if you miss this 3, that changes the game. And obviously we know how that can go. Well, tonight it seemed like every time the Timberwolves were trying to make a run, it got thwarted by a 3-point shot. So.
Yeah, and you look at it, and the Timberwolves obviously have this Twin Towers lineup with 2 7-footers out there, but the Suns actually had more offensive rebounds tonight, 10-8. And there are a few plays more demoralizing for a defense than when you defend a good shot, give up an offensive rebound, and on the broken play, your opponent hits a 3. Like, that's something that the Warriors have been doing to teams for years, and it's a back-breaking play. The Suns did that, to your point, quite a bit tonight. And on the rare occasions where the Timberwolves actually got stops, it's even more backbreaking because it's like, damn, we finally stopped them. And then we didn't stop them because they hit a 3. So the Suns have worked really hard this season to kind of upgrade their offensive rebounding. Assistant coach Kevin Young has been trying to hammer this point home for years, and Monty finally relented as far as being more strategic with deploying guys to chase those offensive rebounding. So it's starting to pay off a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, and they shot 16 of 35 from deep for basically 46%. I mean, they shot more than a third of their shots tonight from beyond the arc. It's exactly what we said in the pregame that they needed to do, and it was a thing of beauty. And they were leading in total rebounding for most of this game. It wasn't until late in the fourth that the Timberwolves overtook them, and they only got 2 more rebounds than the Suns overall. So this was a game that they played as close to perfection as I think they could. I mean, the fourth towards the end got a little sloppy where they let the Wolves a little back into it. But overall, this was peak Phoenix Suns that we saw today, especially playing shorthanded without CP3.
I think 3-point shooting tonight was just, in the pregame show, that was kind of a concern, something we were all going to keep an eye out on. You got to shoot the 3 when you're playing a team like this because it absolutely crushes them. Who are we going to rely on there? Obviously, we brought up Torrey Craig. We were like, he's a good shooter. Can he continue to shoot as well as he's been shooting? I don't know. Mikal Bridges took 6 3-point attempts tonight, which he only made 2, but I'll take 6 from him every single day. But they were 16 of 35 tonight. They shot 45.7% from deep, and I'm super happy with that. With this team missing Cam Johnson, missing Chris Paul, like, totally happy with that. I would have loved to have gotten a little DA action in there from the 3-point line, but I'll take what I can get. But overall, pleasantly surprised with the 3-point shooting effort from the Suns tonight.
Yeah, the irony is Mikal was one of the worst 3-point shooters of the night, too, percentage-wise. So, again, couldn't be happier with the way that they approached the offensive end of the ball tonight.
Yeah.
Because how many threes did you say they attempted the other night?
It was 19 the other night, and tonight was nearly double that with 35. And you love to see Book getting up 7 attempts, and if Campaign's going to make 4, you love to see him getting up 9. Like that was the biggest drop off for him last year, was just missing blatant wide open threes. So if he's able to hit some of those this season, he's going to have a bounce back year for sure.
Campaign and Book also looked really good tonight. Gerald, I know that's your point of the game.
Yeah, I mean, we saw this for stretches last year, especially that 15-game stretch where Chris Paul was out with an injury, where Campaign stepped up. I think he averaged double-digit assists over that period as a starter. And tonight he had 8. Devin Booker had 10, only 1 turnover between the two of them. That's huge to be able to take care of the ball, because we talk about Campaign a lot, and he can be a little erratic with the ball. Yeah. He can make bad decisions, and Book sometimes, because of the attention that he receives, sometimes he makes bad passes. But for them to be so composed and in control and kind of orchestrating this offense that was moving the ball really well tonight, I mean, that's huge. They had 32 assists on 47 made field goals. The other night, they only had 19 assists as a team. So this was a much nicer return to form without their lead playmaker, as far as keeping the ball moving and making a pretty bad Timberwolves defense pay for it.
Yeah, I feel like they made it a point tonight to try to pass the ball more, get things moving. There were a few times where they probably passed it too many times on an offensive possession, but I'm interested in seeing, this will shock you, the advanced stats tomorrow about this game and the usage rate for Devin, how often he actually had the ball in his hand. Was this a great point Book night where he was handling it a lot more than everybody else, or was this just Book playing smart and finding his teammates when he was getting the double teams and moving around tonight? I want to understand that more from my perspective.
It just looked like he was, coaches always will tell you, you got play within the game, like let the game come to you. And Book, I think Book does that better than just about everybody else in the NBA. He doesn't really try to force too many things. He takes what the defense gives him, whether that be a shot and now the pass that he's added to his game. 32 and 10. The other day, I talked about this was an opportunity for Devin Booker in this stretch of games without CP3 possibly, and definitely without Cam Johnson, for him to really make a statement and say, hey, I am a legit candidate for MVP this year. 32 and 10 is a damn good way to start that, if you ask me. So again, I just think Devin has been fantastic. We know what Devin's going to give us on a night-to-night basis, but Campaign, listen, like we Espo was very, very hard on Campaign in the offseason, and he should be, and he doubted whether he could come back because he's only been good for basically a year and a half, and then he had a shit year last year. I was determined to say no. I think he can come back. I don't think last year was what he is. It's probably somewhere in between. And right now he's showing us just that like he's not. I don't think he's giving you the 15 to 20 points that he would give you basically every third game from 2 years ago. But he's getting pretty close, and his energy. Again, we're talking about another energy guy that just is everywhere. And when he plays with his hair on fire, man, it is fun basketball to watch. It really is.
Is it weird that I almost have more faith in Campaign when he's a starter than when he's coming off the bench? I don't know if it's something about maybe feeling like there's a little less pressure because of the people who are around you, if he feels like he can play more freely. And I want to say the numbers back it up a little bit, that he does play a little bit better, like numbers-wise, in the starting unit than in that second unit. But I always feel like Campaign's going to have a good game when he has to fill in for Chris Paul.
I think it's a pace thing, and I think it's a who you're playing with thing, like you mentioned. Like, obviously, when you're playing alongside Devin Booker, Mikal Bridges, DA, the defense is not going to be able to pay as much attention to you. Yeah. But I do think that this starting five wants to push the pace a little bit more. And to start the season with Chris Paul in this slightly different role, the pace hasn't always been there. They've fallen back into the bottom 10 of pace, or bottom 15, when last year they were a top 10 team in pace. So Campaign coming in there, they kind of accentuate each other well because they both want to play fast. And, just being a starter next to these guys is going to help you, but it does speak to his confidence and the way that he played so poised tonight as far as getting downhill, making threes, and just not committing turnovers.
Well, I think he also knows he doesn't have to be the only facilitator
The pressure,
out there.
yeah.
Devin will be that. Mikal also can be that. I still believe in my heart of hearts that Payne is better as like your backup 2 guard with a point guard alongside him in my mind, but that's neither here nor there. So
I disagree.
well, that's great. You always do. So.
I mean, well, yeah, because he's not a shooting guard. Like that's just at the end of the day, he's not a shooting guard. He's a playmaker. He tries to be a scorer, and when he's really rolling, he gets everybody else involved. Listen, he makes some creative passes as well. He skips the ball probably better than anybody else on the team, which is kind of crazy, except for CP3. So like I like watching Payne play, and again, it's not necessarily about his numbers. It's about his energy. Again, when he's playing, when Mikal comes out of the game and Payne's on the court, he's the equalizer to Mikal Bridges. And so you need that consistent flow of just, good vibes and because it's infectious.
His vibes are much more dependent on his numbers than Mikal's are.
For sure. He needs to hit a couple early buckets for sure.
Right.
Or at least feel like he's in a good groove, and that'll translate to that's what the problem was last year, is that he would start off games and he'd start off 0 for 4 and that was it for the rest of the game.
Right.
Like and that can't happen. So
right. He needs a 3 or a steal or one of those nifty scoop layups to like get his energy going. Yeah. Exactly.
Off the wrong leg.
I love that we have barely talked about Devin Booker. 32-point night, 10 assists. Like, dude played fantastic. And again, it just felt like it was business as usual for him out there.
Because that's what's expected of him now.
I know.
But I do think tonight was more, to his point, I think
Well,
tonight
not
was
a whole
more,
lot of focus. We're 25 minutes into the show, and usually
I just spent 4 minutes on him.
But I will say, to his point, the other night it felt like that third quarter he had to like do old Devin Booker things where he had to be dominant, take over, do it by himself. Tonight it was distributed throughout the game. It was smooth, and it was kind of like you look down and you're like, holy shit, he finished with more points than Mikal Bridges, who was like the apple of everyone's eye this game. It was just more methodical, like we talked about before the show.
I meant more he hasn't been the focus. Like the main focus of what we're talking about, where we default a lot to Book had a big game, not flashy, but we're talking a lot about it. Tonight was a night where it was so many other guys stepped up for him that you didn't have to make him the focal point of everything.
Which I hope is what we get for the next handful of months from this team, because then that tells us that everyone around Devin is growing.
Right.
And that's what Devin needs. That's what Devin deserves. That's what we all need and deserve as well.
And that's scary if everybody else is firing on all cylinders the way they were tonight, and Book can just kind of pick and choose his spots and still put up that kind of production. Because last night it felt like he had to do everything. Tonight it was like he could do what
he
was
could do
there for
whatever
him.
he wanted.
Right, exactly.
Exactly.
It's funny, every time we talk about the game, it's like some people are like, you guys are being too negative,
Or too
and
positive.
now we're being told we're being too positive in a blowout victory, and that we need to talk about players that maybe did not perform well. But
I got
I
you.
just
The chat's been hankering
Well,
for this.
here we can do that. We'll do that, okay? But while we're on the positive train, let me tell you about a positive partner, our friends over at More Furniture. They're having a fall sale right now where you can spruce up your home, whether you're preparing for the holidays, you're just looking to have some nice, pretty things in your house. Head on over to morefurniture.com. And on another positive note, right now, for every $1,000 you spend, you're going to get a $100 gift card. So make sure you check them out. That's morfurniture.com. Tell them we sent you. Okay, fine.
Enough positives.
If you want us to be negative, just know we're going to end on a positive, though. You better know that. But if you want us to be negative for a minute, let's talk a little bit about DeAndre. And so Manuel sent us a super chat earlier and said, might have missed it, but what y'all think of DA's game? I think it was just a product of playing two bigs like that, or something more to it. Manny, thank you for your super chat.
I'll go ahead and start.
Yeah.
I can go the positive route, but Please
do.
We want to be negative right now, Saul.
I'm gonna do it.
I always like to go. The opposite of what everybody wants. But all right, listen, he was second in team high plus minus with 16, and that's about it. That's about
positive.
Listen, 4 of 10 shooting. You only took 10 shots. Not much was asked of him because of how well Mikal and company were playing. So I will say that. But man, you can't disappear the way you disappeared in tonight's game. Again, my fear with DA is that when everybody's rolling, instead of him wanting to be a part of it, he just kind of blends in and just is more of like just this product that they run a system through instead of being an actual contributor to the momentum. And that's my problem with DA. And the other night, it was the opposite. He got into foul trouble, but things were going so bad that he ended up being a facilitator for a bad team at the time. And you can't do it that way. You have to play better than you are right now. I don't care if he dings up his ankle or not. He needs to play at just a higher level. It's just not enough to have 9 points and 6 rebounds when Gobert is on the other side and he gets a double-double. Like, there's opportunities there for you to make plays, and you're just falling woefully short. And again, man, I'm disappointed in his lack of production. He's lucky that they won by such a wide margin, and we're leading basically the whole way. But again, man, if this team is going to go anywhere, DA has got to start to step up and really start to. Those habits have to start to form where you are playing at a high level and you expect to play at a high level. You're not part of a high school basketball team. You're not part of a college basketball team with 100 studs on the team. You are part of an NBA championship contender, and you got to start fucking playing like it, bud.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, you're being nice, I think, in that assessment tonight. If you're not doing anything offensively and you are getting paid like DeAndre Ayton is paid, and you have the raw talent that DeAndre Ayton has, and you only get 6 damn rebounds, like, you should fall your way into 8 as a guy like that with that kind of skill. I was highly disappointed in the lack of effort on the rebounding side of things tonight because they didn't need him offensively. So if you're not being used offensively, get your ass on the glass and start cleaning things up. Tonight he played Rudy Gobert, who's one of the centers paid around him, Embiid the other night, and he did nothing. Prove yourself. You got the money. All of us defended you. Now it's time to play like you can actually earn and deserve that money.
I think the biggest thing, too, is that, like, we talked about him staying out of foul trouble over the last couple of days. He only had 1 personal foul tonight. And then we also saw Minnesota's bigs in foul trouble. Like, that's your opportunity, DA. Take it.
Right.
Like, I think that's the most frustrating thing. It's like, that was right there for you to take.
It was frustrating because there was, I think, to start the second half, Gobert had either 3 or 4 fouls at that point, and he took 2, like, kind of turnaround jumpers back to back that Gobert kind of blocked. And this is where, for me, the difference in skill set, because we've talked about this in the past about who should be the Suns' third option this year with Chris Paul taking a backseat, who should be their second option. I don't think it's a matter of, efficiency. I think it's a matter of just being able to create your own offense versus creating offense that's kind of not put in your lap, but like is set up for you. And I think tonight we saw an example of Mikal can create some of his own offense, and DA still needs to work on that area of his game. And I think that's especially in a matchup like this against 2 7-footers where you're trying to take advantage of their lack of mobility. Other guys are going to shine more. So I'm not worried about a performance like this, but he does need to be better. And this is kind of just an example of if you don't have Devin Booker and Chris Paul running dozens of pick and rolls to set him up, he's going to struggle to be involved that way.
Maybe in my head, there was a threshold or a number that I hit personally where I was like, I kept making excuses for him or thinking of things that he needed to do to get better. Mm-hmm. And I hit that point the other night where I was like, no, dude, you're just not as good as I hoped you would be. Like, I feel like I've gotten to that point with him because too many times, listen, this game specifically, okay, This was a game against a team that you just blew out a week or two ago, and you have the ability to blow out again, and they did. You should have been a major part of that, especially considering the fact that Chris Paul wasn't going to play. You're down 2 starters. You know the expectation going into this game was, we need you, big fella, and you didn't show up. Like, that is my cause for concern more than anything else, is that he just continuously, every time I think that this guy is going to turn a corner or this guy is going to really ball his ass off, he just sinks. He just sinks and he just fades away. And it's like, bro, come on, man. This is bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm there with you. I mean, you and I probably have been two of the biggest defenders of DA, and to me, it was twofold. It was watching what Luka did in that Game 7 of this team, in part because you realize the opportunity cost of taking DA there, and then just the fact that he's got his money. What's the excuse now? Where is, you are supposed to grow into that, right? You're supposed to eventually be that guy, and big men take longer.
5 years.
It's been long enough.
It's been long
Yeah.
enough. It's been long enough. Like, he's had every advantage to try and turn this thing around. I don't know what he does in the offseason to put in work. You always hear like, oh yeah, DA was in the gym every day and blah, 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 blah. But I never see, like, sometimes he shows you a little bit and you're like, oh, okay, well, maybe he added this to his tool bag. And then you don't see it again. And I'm like, okay, well, where's the dribbling to the basket, or at least one fake move? Shit, the most basic of things. And we saw Dario Saric in the lane take 89,000 freaking pump fakes to score 2 points. And I'm sitting there
leave
thinking,
the ground at any point.
and all I could think of is, when's the last time you saw DA do a pump fake?
Yeah.
That low.
Yeah.
Just pump fake and go a different direction. Where are the moves to your post play? He doesn't have any. It's either a hook shot or it's a fadeaway jumper. That's all he has in his bag. And it's so tired.
And I graded him on a curve because it was like, well, this is one of the best centers we've ever seen here. Too freaking bad. That's because we had shit centers, I realized finally.
I will say tonight, most of my concern kind of stemmed from the defensive end, because there were a couple of rotations that he's usually very good about being in that pick and roll coverage, the weak side rotation, cutting off ball handlers. He just seemed off in general tonight, and that's not a huge concern. Like, we're only dealing with 11 games into the season. We saw, like, people shouldn't forget this. Like, the year that the Suns went to the finals, we were talking about a month before the playoffs started, like, DA's getting benched for Dario Saric in fourth quarters of games. Like, is he going to be consistent enough? And then he balled his ass off during that finals run, played some of the best ball of his career. So I think when the playoffs come, he always finds a way to turn it on. We saw it in the Pelicans series last year too. But I do think, like Mikal Bridges, finding that consistency night in and night out is something that these younger players are going to need to get over, especially with Cam Johnson.
Lindsey,
out for a while.
you were there when DA was in his rookie season. You were there for the first couple years of DA, and you're watching him now. Like, are we wrong on this? Do we feel like his development has been okay, or is it just like you expected more from the first time he walked in to where we are currently?
Way to put her on the spot.
Are we trying to find a way to ride the fence?
Yes.
Or what?
If I speak, I will get in trouble.
No, I feel like, so when DA first got there, you could tell he was young. Like, mentally, literally, all of the above. He was super young. And I knew it was going to take him a while to grow up. But I feel like at this point in time now, you've had plenty of chances and opportunities and time to grow up. You're a dad now. You're in your second contract. You got the bag. Like, you've been around. You've made the playoffs twice now. You've been around what greatness can be. So I knew it was going to take time with DA. My thing is I almost wonder if he's holding himself back from, like, certain aggression, because I do find it interesting that early on in his career, he didn't really like being talked about or tweeted about or whatever as, like, aggressive or angry, or, you know what I mean? But then it kind of switched over and it was like dominating. And I'm like, well, dominating is literally that.
Right.
So I wonder if it's like this thing about not wanting to be seen as angry or something. I don't know.
My problem with DA is that he doesn't. He's always said that he would like to be a 4 or that he is a 4, right?
Right.
When you say something like that, that implies to me that you don't really prefer to bang down low with the big dogs. You'd rather be able to shoot from the perimeter. Like, again, going back to my recollection of every practice that I've ever been to, I've never, ever, ever once seen DA post-practice or in shoot-around working on low post moves. I've always seen him working on the three-point shot, doing three-point competitions with his buddies. Now, this is at the end of practice. Like, it's not even practice anymore. Dudes are leaving the court. So don't get me wrong. It's not, I probably missed a whole hour and a half before that. But to my point, he wants to be a finesse player, or more finesse than he is right now, but he hasn't even developed those skill sets to be that guy. He can't dribble, freely on his own like some other bigs can. Hell, Giannis and Embiid can do it with no problem, right? He doesn't have, he doesn't keep adding to his repertoire. He's not an all-around player. Like, he's not going to be able to get you a triple-double every night. He's more of a double-double guy. So what are we doing here? If you're not giving me a double-double and you're giving me 9 and 6, a back-to-back games of single digits, dude, you make a lot of money, and that's just it's way, way, way underperforming what you're supposed to be all about.
Look, congratulations, you got a tattoo that said dominating, but if you're not going to do it on the court, it just looks dumb.
Yeah,
I mean, go be that. Be the thing. Don't give yourself the nickname if you can't back it up, kind of thing. Like, we used to hate that Amari would give himself a million nicknames, but he went out there and he played his ass off.
He can call himself whatever he wanted.
Yeah, like Shaq. Shaq's the same way. He could call himself all the stupid nicknames he wanted because you knew what you were going to get out of him.
I will say, in his defense, like, the defense until tonight has mostly been pretty good. I mean, Joel Embiid got the best of him the other night, but Joel Embiid is a top 10 player at worst in this league.
Yeah, but if you're a top tier center, you shouldn't be giving up 38 points to Joel Embiid either.
I agree, but there's levels to, and I think it was 33. Like, it wasn't that, but I get your point. But my thing is, like, there's levels to
You guys, listen to what's happening right now. These two have literally swapped
but
sides.
We did it, Saul. We got him to defend DA.
Well, because I don't want. I've always defended DA.
Gerald.
I'm back. I didn't miss.
I've always defended DA. I've just been more realistic about what he can and cannot do, and I think now we've seen it in a longer dose. But I will say we're only 11 games into the season. He's still got plenty of time to turn it around and be, because coming into the year, he was talking about, I just want to be dominant. I want to be a guy that can take over games.
He ain't about that life.
He might not be, but we're still early in the year. We've got guys adjusting to a lot of things, and without Chris Paul playing that on-ball role a lot, that's going to affect a guy like DA, who is usually his pick-and-roll partner. So he needs to learn how to create more of his offense. We've been saying this for months now, but I'm going to give it a little more time before I start, saying, they need to trade him. Like, he's still a very good two-way center.
Look, I'm not concerned about the defense, and I know some nights you're going to be off on offense, but the rebounding to me will always be the thing. Rebounding is effort. Rebounding is hustle, especially when you're 7 feet tall. Like, I mean, Charles Barkley was all a 6'4" out there and dominated on the glass because he outworked guys. He boxed them out. He did that shit. Like, I just want to see that on the rebounding on a night where maybe you don't have the other two things going.
How much have you been working on your craft? That's what I think. That's what everybody wants to see from their number one overall pick.
I thought he was asking you.
No. I know.
Tell us, Gerald.
Gerald busts his ass all the time. Like, I know. It's like, how much have you been working on your craft? Luka, right? A phenomenal talent. But you can't sit there and say that, all he does is, as soon as he's done with the game, he goes home and drinks beer, and then that's it. And then he comes back to the gym, and that's just what he does. Like, it's also natural talent, but it's aided by the work ethic that you put in the gym. The greats all have it. Kobe had it. Jordan had it. Like, the great ones. Giannis had it. Giannis couldn't shoot for shit when he was first in the league, and now he can hold his own. Like, you got to consistently grow. And to me, the growth of DA has been more of a plateau than it has been anything else. And that's the problem.
Yeah, I'm not going to question his work ethic. I'm going to question whether it's producing tangible results right now. Because, I mean, this could just be team speak. Guys talk positively about each other on this team. That's just what they do. But Monty and everybody, we had asked Monty about what's kind of different with DA this year. And he said his work ethic, not that it was bad before, but he just gets that you need to put in that time to be a professional in this league. We're not seeing the results yet, and I think that's the frustrating part because we hear all these good things about his work ethic. Hopefully they start coming around soon, because otherwise we're going to approach that trade deadline and it's not going to be fun.
Yeah.
Can I go on one slight tangent here?
Sure.
Why does Michael Jordan always get brought up on the work ethic thing when all the stories we hear is he was playing 36 holes of golf, he was out gambling all night? Like, let's not glorify shit. That dude just had a whole hell of a lot of natural talent and did put in work, but it wasn't like he was chained to the gym 24/7.
He wasn't, but he like also put in he put in work to like golf. He was just the most competitive person on the face of the fucking earth.
No. Michael Jordan,
all the accolades.
Michael Jordan was Mamba mentality before Mamba mentality even existed. Michael Jordan built a set on a fucking movie set just so he could play for 12 hours a day against dudes and get his game back. Like, no, we're not questioning Michael Jordan's work ethic.
Back from being retired.
Do you know why Michael Jordan? Michael Jordan could go off and beat Dan Marley and EJ on the golf course, and then come back and drop 48 points on them
because he was busting
natural talent. Because he gets up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go work out, and he puts in work before those dudes even wake up. That's what Michael Jordan's all about.
Okay, but if he was staying up really late partying, then how is he getting up at 4 o'clock? Is he just never sleeping?
He's a fucking maniac.
He's 1 hour
Have you not watched the documentary? Are we really doing this right now?
No, he was an asshole. Is what the documentary
I'm saying the timeline doesn't exactly the math ain't mathing all the time with this one.
People that don't
all I'm
listen.
Saying.
Every time somebody responds, and I love you, Espo. Every time somebody responds and says, "What kind of work ethic does Michael Jordan have?" It's because you don't have it. You don't understand it. So no, that's not it. Yeah. We're not bagging Michael Jordan and his work ethic on this show.
I am not doing that
not
at
doing
all.
that.
I am teasing you about the 4 a.m. comment because I'm pretty sure he was going to bed at 4 a.m.
He was going to sleep at 3 and he was waking up at 4.
I was just pulling the ripcord on that one.
No, Espo. That's such a random ripcord to pull. No, we're not doing that.
But I will say,
Mr. Jordan over there.
No.
So Frank said DA just doesn't have the it factor. Jay said, is it more mental? Musab said Giannis still can't shoot. I honestly think that there is a portion of it that could be mental with DA. Because I know he does have good work ethic. I'm not saying he's got the work ethic of a Kobe or anybody like that, but I know he's got solid work ethic and he puts in the work. So I wonder if there is some reason that he doesn't feel confident enough or comfortable enough. And the only thing I can think of is a mental block to actually implement those things.
Is it a block or is it just his personality? Some people just aren't going to be the aggressor in certain things.
It very well could be his personality.
That's not necessarily a bad thing. It just, if your profession is, I'm a 7-foot center in the NBA, so that could potentially be problematic.
I think the issue is that DA has never been a great evaluator of his own game, to be honest with you. I don't think it's a mental block or personality thing. I think it's a guy that he thinks he is one thing. He wants to be a 4. He wants to be more of a skill player. He wants to be this and that. He literally told us at training camp last year, I don't like my big man duties. But I don't think he's good at evaluating what he's good at and what he's not good at. Like, he talks about being physical, but a lot of the fouls that he's had early in the season have been kind of cheap ones. You know, he talks about wanting to shoot more threes, but he doesn't really do that. Like, I think in his mind, he wants to be somewhere a player that he's not. And in reality, his best assets are things that he doesn't enjoy doing as much.
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
He's probably looking at Cat out there going, man, I wish that was what I was doing.
Yeah, but Cat's dog shit too.
No, he has not been. Go look at his stats this year. He's not
I saw him play
dog
tonight,
shit.
and I saw him play against us in the first game. I thought they were both dog shit games.
And for everyone that's in the chat talking about DA, like, watching Cat's body language, watching his defense tonight, it could be a lot worse. And I think Cat is a much better offensive talent individually because
right now,
he is.
Much better
He's a better shooter, passer, all that. But if you look at his defense and his effort, like, he is clearly not happy in Minnesota right now, and it could be 10 times worse. With people are saying DA, gave up on a couple plays. Try doing that for a whole game and see how that goes.
Just wait till Trade Machine Tuesday next week.
Oh, God.
DA for Cat. Can we trade?
I'm going to be off that day.
Dario, Jay, Landry, and a first for Cat. Who says no?
Oh, no. It's too early to do that.
All right, let's turn things back around. We let you guys take us to the negative side of things, but we're going to flip it back around and go positive. You know why? Because my boy, Landry mother effing Shamet needs some flowers tonight.
We were so close to an F-bomb.
Landry
I'll tell you-
Shamet
wait,
gave
hey,
me life
Linz,
tonight, you guys.
Linz, can I make you another bet?
Yes.
Do we want another bet?
Yeah.
Well, it depends on what it is. You tell me what it is
How about
before I
this?
decide if I'm in or not.
I went on the limb and I said 35 points by Landry at any point in a game this year, and you guys can do whatever you guys need to do to haze me, right? If Shamet should drop 35 as well, then you gotta give me the full MFer. You got to do it.
I can do
I think
that.
that's fair.
Oh, hell
if I got
yes.
to take a sacrifice, I think
I
that's
can do
fair.
that.
Landry,
Yeah.
we need you, man.
I will accept
Let's
that.
go,
The stakes
Landry.
have never been higher.
Landry,
Saul's even
so
written.
much is riding
I'm
on
not gonna lie. There's
your
part of me that's like,
shoulders
let's go,
right now.
Landry.
Let's go.
I don't care what happens to me.
Oh, man.
Okay, so Landry finished with 16 points tonight, 2 of 3 from deep, 5 of 7 from the field. He was fun to watch, and mostly probably because of the stakes involved.
These guys, the whole game.
I was so excited, you
I'm
guys.
like, dude, you guys need to calm down.
We were almost halfway there. We were almost halfway there.
We'll always have that first quarter.
We were
had
almost
9
halfway
points.
there.
Lindsey is the very definition of a jinx because he had 13 going into the fourth quarter, and she was like, he's almost halfway there. And I'm like, what? You still need like 22 points to get this. What are you talking about?
Almost halfway there sounds like an 80s hair band song.
But listen, we did know that with Chris Paul out, Payne moving into the starting lineup, Landry Shamet was going to be an important factor in tonight's game. Landry Shamet played well.
He played very
deserves
well.
flowers.
He played very well tonight. He hit the open shots. He hit a couple key shots when, again, a run was coming. Like, I thought he played a very solid game tonight. He didn't do anything that was, again, it's about playing your game, right? And I think Landry played his game tonight, didn't try to do too much, didn't rush himself, and he was effective.
Yeah, and he helped them push it in tempo, too. He had that one layup on the fast break. He was
also had that one
efficient
block,
tonight. But always got to be something. Always got to be something. But, yeah, I mean, look, he had 9 points, I think, in the first quarter, so he was impactful right out the jump alongside Mikal Bridges. That was huge. You love to see him play like that because we know that the mental side of things was tough on him last year with the whole situation going on with his dad. Now that they've kind of been reconciled and he has a little bit more inner peace, it would be nice to see him continue to string together performances like this.
I think, Saul, you brought up exactly the key. He didn't rush. When Landry Shamet takes his time and gets a shot, it's as good as anybody from long distance. It's when he rushes, when he hurries on those things, and he's not in rhythm that it can get a little wonky for him.
Also, the shot. EJ pointed it out. He said it looks like he's getting a little bit more arc on his shot. And that's exactly what I was saying last year. We were talking about rushing himself. I was more last year. I was talking about how he was rushing his shot, and when he would rush his shot, it was a flatter arc. This year, it seems like he's got some more arc on his shot. So he clearly had been working on it, slowed down, way more effective, and they're going to need him as they move forward for sure.
Did we move into an alternative universe?
Yeah,
Because Jay in the chat says Saul calling out DA and praising Shamet. What has the world come to? We jumped.
It
went
feels
somewhere
weird
else.
right now.
I
I
know.
promise you that.
Do we want to keep jumping? I'll even give Dario a little credit. He looked like the 40-year-old man at the YMCA that all of a sudden he doesn't have a lot of athleticism, but still scoring buckets on your ass.
Dario brought some energy.
I'll
He was
give him
aggressive.
that. I'll give him that. He's slowly coming back into a guy that could provide something for this team. Not something big, but something.
We'll take what we can get. If we're getting flowers out of the two of you, it's a great day here at PHNX. We're going to continue on the flowers train. I know we already talked about Devin, but we do have to congratulate him on another milestone. Tonight, he reached 1,000 career three-pointers, joining Steve Nash as the only two Suns to reach that mark. He's also the third youngest player in NBA history to reach that mark. The other two players are Bradley Beal and D'Angelo Russell. So shout out to Book for, again, checking off another box on all the accolades and milestones that he has already received throughout his career and will continue to receive.
He's likely to become the all-time Suns three-point maker this year. I mean, he's 47 now away from Steve Nash's record.
Oh, yeah.
That.
So maybe by the end of the year.
He'll pass that this year easily.
Yeah.
I didn't want to Lindsey him and say, yes,
No,
he
he's
definitely
going
will. And then he goes on the worst cold streak from three ever.
You can't blame me for that.
Yeah, he didn't score an entire fourth quarter because you said
How is
something
that my
last
fault?
game. It is. But
Devin is above that.
He will. He'll own that record for the Suns, and he'll just continue picking up these records as we go along.
Right, and he hit 5 tonight, so he'd pass Danny Ainge for 137th on the all-time list. Next up is Danny Granger.
Another
Granger.
Suns great.
Crazy.
Right.
Danny Ainge and Danny Granger. Suns great. Sandwich between.
As someone from New Mexico, you have no idea how much that hurts me that Danny Granger was on the Suns and then never played a game for them.
Not a
It made
lick.
me
But you know
so
who has a
sad.
jersey?
Do you really? Oh, you have a Danny Granger Suns jersey?
Does that surprise you at all?
Authentic,
I guess that's
authentic
true. That's a good
game worn, and by that I
Stop.
mean he wore it on the
Stop.
bench.
Don't turn him into Karan Butler.
Also, I did
It
see
counts, right?
I got to see the Kobe book.
Oh, did you?
Oh man, it
That's-
is beautiful.
That's not the only thing. What I showed him also, I realized in this same box, I have the fake Suns Fast Break magazine that they used to pitch Penny Hardaway, when he came to the Suns. So
All right, so what we're going to do, I already promised this on Tuesday, and then we just didn't do it, so my bad. I think what we need to do is you need to actually create a video with Shane, and then we can actually put that on the show. So that way we can get the actual shots of the things and look at it deeper.
But I gotta
and
work
everyone
with
else
Shane?
gets to see it too.
I don't know. Why does
wait.
he have to work with Shane?
Is it because
Shane-
Shane's the video guy?
damn, Shane's
Why do we have
producing
to
us
do a
tomorrow.
video? Why can't we
too.
just take pictures of the book? Because we want to just see the pictures. We don't need to involve Shane.
Oh my God, you guys are so
Shane.
Can't I just film it with my own phone and not involve Shane?
Fine, whatever.
Be nice to Shane.
The Shane
He's
shade.
dead to us now that you're here.
Oh.
Hello,
you get
said
some
I went to
flowers.
the doctor for a prescription of OGs, like Lindsey said, didn't go well. That's because you're supposed to go to the chiropractor. Everyone knows that.
What? The chiropractor's got the good drugs?
You guys didn't know.
I
Back in the
didn't.
day when you had to get
know-
a prescription
Yeah, he
for
cracks your
medical
back and then he gives it to you
marijuana,
as
it
a
was your
suppository.
back. And it was like, there you go. There's a
Open
prescription.
wide.
This was, no, you guys literally, this was like a running joke for the whole thing. Oh my God.
You know how many chiropractors I've been to, and I never went, hey man, you got any weed?
I can't teach you guys everything,
What are
okay?
you talking about? Are
When-
you being for real right now?
When it was medical marijuana, the joke was if you go to the doctor or the chiropractor and they say, what's going on? Why do you need a medical marijuana prescription? You say, I'm having a lot of back pain. That was the shoe-in to get the medical marijuana prescription.
Oh.
It was literally on like sitcoms. You guys, this was
You
like
got
the
any
running joke.
weed?
Oh my God.
I was in the military serving my country, so I wasn't into drugs at that time, Linz.
I'm still reacting to
Anyway.
his suppository comment.
Since we're on a roll of ridiculousness, let's continue that and round out the show with what Devin Booker yelled at the Wolves bench today. This
did
came
he
from
say?
Dane Moore, who covers the Timberwolves. He said, Devin said to the bench, quote, "We play team basketball. We share the ball." That's right, guys. There are layers to
That's
Devin's
it. Get out of here.
talk.
No, we can't have any of that, Devin.
Too far.
How dare you talk about fundamental basketball? You're out!
Too far.
But the best
too
part
far.
is, it's like, I got to give credit to Minnesota fans because obviously this is a reporter who covers Minnesota. So majority of his followers are going to be Timberwolves fans. The reaction in the comments from them was fantastic. They're like, man, you know it's bad when the opposing team is trying to help you out. They're like, look at Devin. Look at that guy trying to help his friends D-Lo and Cat Al.
Yeah. He's
Like, they leaned into
hey, you two
this.
bums. Hey, yeah, this ain't Kentucky. Pass the fucking ball.
Yeah,
Oh
the
my
trash talk hurts a little bit
gosh.
worse when there's a kernel of truth to it. I
Yes,
feel like.
yeah, for sure.
absolutely. That one was kind of probably mean, even
That
though it was
wasn't-
super PG.
That wasn't trash talk. That was factually correct. He literally just dropped a fact on them as he went by the bench.
It's still a different kind of F-bomb, though. So,
That was a truth bomb. I dropped a truth bomb on your ass.
Yeah, and people are in the comments like they needed to hear that, and everyone's like, "Thanks, Book. Please tell them even more."
But let's be honest. Have you ever met somebody from Minnesota? They are like genetically.
Hey,
Once or twice.
No, this is gonna be
Easy.
This is not
Damn.
bad.
Gerald's fiance
I'm
is
well
from Minnesota.
aware.
I'm
what
I
are we
trying
know
supposed
get
to
this
hold back
show.
because she's from Minnesota?
What am I?
Yes.
Do I look
She's
like
a
some
state
idiot to
protector?
you? I
Yes.
know.
Oh my God! Go ahead, Espo.
I was just gonna say, have you ever met anybody from Minnesota? Genetically, they are created to be nice.
Okay.
Like that's
Unless you're a
just who
cop.
they are.
Oh my bad.
Minnesota. Oh my god!
Wow.
Cut the feed. Cut the
God.
stream.
Ahoy hoy!
Oh my god!
I mean,
I think that is the cue.
I mean, I'm just saying, like,
Oh, he's not wrong.
You
I'm
made
not
it
wrong.
We don't-
I'm not wrong. You guys,
He's dropping facts, people,
mean-
just like Devin.
It hurts
my
when there's a
God.
kernel of truth.
where there's a kernel of truth to it. All right, can we just?
Oh no!
You can follow her at Lindsey Smith AZ. You can follow him at Saul_Bookman. You can follow Gerald at Gerald Bourguet. You can follow me at Espo. You can follow the show at PHNX_Sons. Espo, take it away. Remember, when Saul says things like this, pull the ripcord. Ahoy hoy!
Retro. Tell the Phoenix Metro. Megas in control and he ain't never gonna let go. PHNX though. Lindsey, Gerald, Espo. Saul pass the ball. We here to turn up the tempo. Got to understand me. I'll always rep the family. Rally in the valley like